Hey, hey, yo, Diggs. Hey, um, trying to get some stuff figured out here. There we go. Um, there we go. Um, gonna move the window capture all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Close the folder so I can move it all the way down. Da 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 dun 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 dun. Okay. I'll have to do some more troubleshooting at a later date. But it looks like... Yeah, looks like everything is coming up roses. Ba-da-pa-pa-pa. Um... Okay. So first up... Oh, woo, friends and enemies. It is almost midnight Neopian time, and I have two notifications that I've intentionally not checked. So we're going to start with that. For those of you who don't know us, we are the Dronis Lara system. We are more than 30 people stuffed into a single brain. It fucking sucks. Trauma, am I right? Alright. With that introduction out of the way, we can begin. Let's start with the notifications. We got two Neo mails. We won the Baby Bloomaroo plushie for our collection. We're not going to sell it because there's no way we can sell it for the price we bought it, but we did buy it for our collection. Delete this message. We also won the Baby Loop plushie for our collection. Yay! All right. All right, and we are now at 5 minutes past the hour. Let's go ahead and do our Trudy's surprise. Let's see how many Neo points we win today. Whee! I'm not hearing any sound. Let's see. Oh, I've got the right speaker. Ooh, 16,000. Not bad, not bad, not bad. All right. Let's go to my pets. We're going to start the stream off strong. So you see our little Shoiru here? You see this little potion here? This little potion that costs 500,000 points that one of my Neo friends sent me? Yeah! Here we go. Refresh. For Sonic displays. Ooh, or we can just go to the customize menu and... Oh, there he is. Hello, little Shoiru. Bloop. Bloop. Let's recustomize you. Let's actually put the Altador cup thing there. Give you the blue bandana. And the toga swimsuit. Save. Yep, I think that's going to be it for that. Oh, right. And just giving you the spectacles as well. Save. That is a slightly over 500,000 points. On behalf of the entire system, we would like to thank our Neo friend, Slightly Winged. They have been thanked, and since they have been so gracious as to grant us that, we have made him our active. We'll have to wait for that to load. Our primary Neopet is Luz Skylos. We are currently in the process of training him up. You may have noticed, if you follow us on TikTok, that that is the name of one of our altars. Yeah, he kind of wanted to be all Neopetified. And I couldn't say no. Apparently he originated as a loop fictive. So, much better than the AI drawing. I may have to make a new drawing of Lou based on our customized screen. May have to get a new AI drawing done using this image as the reference point. Alright, with that out of the way, let us refresh the void within. Okay, July 27th. They are at the following 3 locations: the lost city of Garep Tiku, this is taking a while to load. Am I dropping frames? It doesn't seem like I'm dropping frames. So, it isn't that. Is the server just congested? Okay. I will also open Neopia Central and Meridel Castle. Ah, there we go. Keep searching. Keep searching. Keep searching. Alright. There we go. And Meridel Castle. There we go. I'm sorry that it's taking so long to load. I'm assuming it's because everybody and their dog is jumping. Everyone in their loop is jumping to grab void traces. Which it's entirely possible. Let's see. Let's check to see if the site itself is having issues. No, it is not. Ooh, I've got 19,000 Neo points in my shop till. Should probably collect those. Bam. Oh, 18,798. Okay. There we go. Let's take a look. Yes. Okay. Let us... Let us first check our training data. We need to go to Croc Island. Let's go to the academy, see how long we have before training ends. Ooh, completed. Complete course. Yay! Back to the Swashbuckling Academy. I need to check my safety deposit box. Safety deposit box. Bum bum. Doubloon. I have one doubloon coin. Right. And yes, I have set literally everything that can require a pin to require a pin. You have no idea how secure I have made this Neopets account. I do not want it getting hacked. Ever. Alright. Speaking of, let's go to the shop wizard. While I'm thinking about it, buy a new doubloon. The cost of a doubloon has gone up significantly. Curse you, Neopian inflation, I'm buying two. While the price is still relatively mid. Whew. Okay. And one screen back. Courses. Selecting our primary for the strength course. Start course. No statistic can go beyond. So let's select defense. No statistic can go above. Let's do agility. No statistic can go above. Endurance. No statistic can go above, which means we are at the point where Lou can officially go to level 10 and become, well, I guess technically he would still be a sea urchin until level 11, it looks like. Yeah. So he's still a sea urchin, but the course has started. That takes care of that. Next, the dailies list. Anchor management. Fire! Nice. Okay. Apple bobbing. Bob for apples. Bloop, bloop. Got nothing. Still, it was free nothing. I do not have any invested in the bank. Courtesan Shrine. Once every 13 hours, resets at midnight. Approach the shrine. You feel slightly richer. Yay, slightly richer. back to the Lost Desert. Close that. The council chamber. Right. I'm going to select Statue of Siana, first to rise. Statue of King Altidore the Hunter. Jordana the Protector. I'm guessing this is a Kalan the Thief. I'm guessing this is a debunked Lauren the Farmer. I'm guessing this might be a defunct Torquor the Gladiator. A defunct function. But at least I'm trying it, because I want the Darkest Fairy the Sleeper. Marak the Wave. Fauna the Gatherer. Priscilla the Dreamer. Gorus the Collector. Sasha the Dancer. Okay, I guess this is a defunct thing, unless there's an event that happens. Daily puzzle. Let's actually cheat. Okay. Right. And I know that the island fairies love barbecue, so I don't need to actually look at that. Active clue. Barbecue. Defense pet fond of bread and cheese. I do not know this one. Oh. I actually own one of these, I think. Or did I sell it? I'll have to check. Hanzo is an Ixie, if I remember right. A Neopian company with a symbol of 5 letters? Eee! Okay, okay. That's, whew. Okay. Mary Akers? This Nova, which is a single-use spell. All right. Did I accidentally not submit the igloo? Here we go, 600 Neo points for that. And then... the Snow Fairy. I did not know that. Talia. Okay. Alright. Dark Cave. I'm guessing that's an item that I do not have yet. Okay. Deadly dice. Roll the dice. Back to Rue Island. So that increases levels, so I'll have to remember that for Lou. And there's a chance that he can lose levels, so I might have to boost that up. The deserted tomb. Open the door. Right. Congratulations, you found 2,000. Nice. Thank you, Space Fairy. All right. 1,208 and Codestone plus. Okay. Nice. All right. Very crossword. I just did that. Forgotten Shore. I'm guessing that's the section that says keep out at this point. Okay. Fruit machine. Spin, spin, spin. Do all three fruits match? Nope, but I want a fruit. And 250 points. Alright. Giant jelly. Grab some jelly. It's a glowing jelly. Da 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 da. The giant omelet. Grab some omelet. Yee. Grave digger. Got 4 hours left on that quest. Started yesterday. The grumpy old king. Where hidden. We're hidden by a wing of... Wing of blackened... Hold on. Where shouldn't you turn a team of courageous courageous crocs apart no from placing a bet at Lord let's Jadora placing a bet at cheat. Answer. Where shouldn't you turn a team of courageous crocs from placing a bet? At making him at making a wing of blackened shoiru backpack bushes. Huh, it froze. Okay, well, we tried. Guess the weight of the marrow. Oh, that could be why the site's doing that thing again. Okay. When the site finally reloads, I will guess the marrow. So, how's everyone out there tonight? Woo! I guess while we're waiting on that, I can close that. I can also close this, close that. There we go. I got 56 Neo points for trying. Woo. Guess the weight of the melon. Sorry, today's competition has not started yet. Come back in a few hours to see if today's game has started. Okay. Close. Let's go ahead and listen to some r/entitled people while we burn through the rest of the dailies.
Rise, tarnished. The time has come. To buy the new Elden Ring DLC on G2A.com. Grab Shadow of the Erd Tree cheaper.
Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/entitled people, where people believe that they're the center of the universe. And in today's episode, Karens are messing with store owners. And Opie tells a wild story about the time a Karen comes into her bakery to order a cake, and it just goes downhill from there. Guys, you'll be shaking your head so hard in this one. I hope you enjoy the lineup today. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. And as always, you can send or link your post to the email right here. Let's dive in. So I made my usual stop at the local
Okay,
gas
so
station
this
this
is
morning,
glitched
only
out
to find the
still.
parking lot
I tried
full of
Kiko
cars.
Pop
I
yesterday and it
expected to
didn't
find a line,
do
but as
anything.
soon as I walk in the door, I'm
Lunar
greeted by a
Temple.
woman, the Karen of the story, along with her 6 crotch goblins. They're raiding the candy rack, and she obviously has no control of the situation, nor does she seem to care. The kids are blocking off the main access to the store, and a gentleman, the hero of the story, walks in behind me. Myself, being a non-confrontational person, I'm assessing the safest way around, as he politely says, "Excuse me," so I step to the side. He makes the same approach to the Karen and her kids, to which she angrily snaps at him and says, "I'm sorry, can't you see my kids are picking out their candy? You can wait. It'll only take a second." He looks back at me, to which I just shrug, and I opt to go around the tight back aisles, avoiding the stock boxes on the floor. He follows me, and we both come around to the drink coolers, where I proceed to snag a drink. The guy does the same, and just as I'm about to move on, the dreaded throat clearing erupts from behind us. Karen says to us, "You two are unbelievable. My children were about to get a drink, and you shoved your way around them. Do either of you have any manners?" At that, the guy smiles, and he responds, "My friend and I were just grabbing our drink. You can wait. It'll only take a second." Karen's face turned red, but she kept her mouth shut. And as I suspected, the line was not short, and I managed to make it there before this evil woman. But now, I had to endure it was like she was running a circus or something. I saw the cashier keep looking in her direction, and I could see the dreaded look on her face that told me that this was not the end of my adventure. I'm now trying to justify buying all these slices, when my hero walks over and he helps himself to the last 3 slices on the warmer. I didn't even have to look back to know what was coming, and there it was, in a voice that echoed through the store. The woman says to him, "Hey, a-hole, those belong to my kids. My kids asked for them first, so you'd better give them to me right now." The guy just smiles and says, "Lady, if you wanted them, you should have gotten them." At that, Karen huffs, and she says, "You obviously don't need all those, so at least give me 2. There's no way you need to eat 3 slices that big." He just grins and says, "Sure I do. 1 for now, and the other 2 for my 2 breaks at work." I just love this guy. Karen then starts screeching at the guy in a language of the Karens. I just tried to tune her out. The children start screaming and crying when she at last turns her attention to the cashier, and she starts demanding the cashier make more pizza. The cashier just looks at her and says, "Our policy is that pizza can only be made in downtime intervals, and I'm the only one right now running this busy store." Karen then says to her, "That's a load of crap. I come in here all the time, and I'll have you know that I know the owner. Let me speak to him right now. I'm going to have you fired and this man removed from the store." At this point, I'm laughing to myself because I'm a regular, and I do in fact know the owner, and I can see the biggest grin come across the cashier's face. The cashier then says to Karen, "Well, that's funny because I know all the regulars in the store, and I've never seen you before. And as for talking to the owner, would you like to speak with me or my husband, because this is our store?" Karen just shut up, and she snatched everything from her kids. She starts stuffing it anywhere she could, and she shoved her screaming horde out the door. The guy still bought the pizza, and between him, myself, and the cashier, we all shared a good laugh. Oh man, I absolutely love it when Karens pretend to know the owner when they don't, especially when they don't know they're speaking to the actual owner. Like, how embarrassing, right? To get caught right then and there, instantly, in that lie. And seriously, do people even think when they use that line as a threat? Like, what happens when the cashier is like, "Oh, you know the owner, let me get him right now, he's in the back." What then, Karen? And also, props to that guy for how he handled that Karen and her kids in that store. The guy was absolutely savage. And this person shares their owner story, and they say, From 1993 to 2008, my husband and I owned a hobby shop outside Atlanta, Georgia. I had a full-time job and my husband ran the shop. One morning, a woman comes in and she's looking at very then approaches the counter to check out. And as I'm ringing her up, she rudely tells me that she gets a 50% discount as she's the owner's wife. And hearing that, I decide to entertain her. I ask, "Really? Wow, how long have you been married?" The lying customer says, "Oh, just a few months. We recently got married." I say to her, "Really? Well, it's nice to meet you since I'm his wife, and I'm the one he sleeps with every night, not you. Do you still want this figure pack or not? Because you're not getting any discount." The woman just stood there like a fish out of water, the way her mouth was opening and closing. I set the figure pack under the counter and told her to get out of my shop and never come back. After she left, I called my hubs to tell him about it, and he was like, "Damn, what the hell?" So yeah, some people will try anything to get something for nothing. This is a long one, and it happened a few years ago. I lived and worked in a ritzy beach tourist town most of my life, made up of people who work there and people who vacation there. The tourists were basically all entitled Karens, but this one by far is the most stubborn I've encountered, but had the most satisfied feeling when he walked away. Backstory. So one of the summers, I was hosting at a rather pricey and popular restaurant. The kind of place you need a reservation for, especially on the weekends. This night, I was working with two of the owners, husband and wife, and the manager. So here we go. It's a Saturday night at the height of the season. It's about 6 p.m., so we're just about to get hit with our non-stop, completely
Yeah,
full
I'm not dropping
reservation
frames,
block
so
for
it
the
isn't
next
my
few hours.
connection.
We don't
So,
have any tables available for walk-ins. The only tables that are empty are reserved for their upcoming reservations. So there I am at the hostess station in the front with owner number one and manager. And in walks this entitled guy and his daughter. My manager says, "Welcome to the restaurant. What's the name of your reservation?"
baby
The guy
Scorchio
tells
plushie for
her,
my
"We don't
collection.
have
Yay!
one." My manager says, "Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
sir. Unfortunately, we're completely booked tonight. The next table won't be open for about two and a
Let's
half
go
hours."
ahead and do
Hearing
scratch
that, the guy
cards
scoffs and
next.
says, "What do you mean you don't have a table? I count 10 empty ones right there." My manager smiles understandingly and says, "Sir, those tables are reserved. The guests will be showing up soon." The guy then says, "Well, how soon? We can eat quick." Manager tells him that won't be possible. "I'm sorry, sir." At this point, the daughter says, "Dad, it's fine. I thought this might happen. We should have called. We will next time. Let's just go to another restaurant." The dad then puts his foot down and says, "No, this is ridiculous. They are BSing me. I want to talk to the owner." At this point, owner 1 gets owner 2, her husband, because owner 2 usually deals with the BS and he's good at it. So owner number 2 comes out. He says, "Hi there. What seems to be the problem here?" The guy then screams at him and says, "These people keep telling me you don't have any tables for 2 hours. That's crazy. I see empty tables right there." And I want to note, that's the most annoying line to a hostess. Owner number 2 says, "Let me take a look at the reservations and tables here." He then looks at it and says, "I'm sorry, sir. It looks like the next table won't be available for another 2.5 hours. The entitled dude just screams, "Fine. If that's really the case, then we'll wait. I'll stand here the whole time. I know it won't be 2 hours. Why even lie to me like that?" At this point, the daughter's pulling on him, saying, "Dad, come on, can we please go somewhere else?" Dad says, "No, I'm proving a point. They won't fill up like they claim they will. This is a tactic to make the restaurant look more busy and attract attention." The daughter's exasperated and she says, "Fine, Dad, you stay. I'm leaving." And with that, she left. He was a bit shocked, but not enough to follow her. So he took his name and he proceeds to stand in our small entryway as people poured in. We were full within 20 minutes. But this stubborn, entitled guy just held his ground. He was going to stay, wait, and glare at us. He kept mumbling to himself every now and then you'd hear, "Make my point." We turned countless other families away in that time, and every single one understood. Behind the scenes, owner number 2 and manager were stressing that if and when he eventually got a table, he was going to get worse out of spite. So they were trying to think of ways to get him to leave without outright throwing him out for no reason. After about 90 minutes, the manager was sick of this guy's presence, and he went to talk to owner number 2 again. Our reservation wouldn't be in for another 20 minutes. I was at the stand now, and that's when the guy walks up to me. I guess he thought going after the manager and owner didn't work, so maybe he could guilt the ditzy hostess. The guy walks up to me and says, "How much longer?" Me, giving my best customer service smile, say, "Only about 30 minutes, sir." The guy then snorts, rolls his eyes, and says, "Sure there." And that got me. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I had a lot of feelings about what he was doing, but not the ones he was expecting. So in my sweetest voice, I say, "Sir, that woman you came with, was she your daughter?" The guy proudly says, "Yes, she is." I then drop my smile and purposely let myself look confused and upset. And in all honesty, I genuinely was. I say to him, "I'm sorry, sir. It's just I lost my dad when I was a little girl, and I would have loved the chance to have father-daughter dinners with him. To see you throw that away to prove a point is heartbreaking. I can't
Takes
imagine
care
how
of
your
all the
daughter
scratch
must feel."
cards.
And you guys, I shook him. I wasn't
Let's go
expecting
fishing.
that. The guy didn't say anything. He just looked ashamed, stood there for a minute, and then turned around and walked out. My eyes literally went wide as I turned to look at owner number 1, who was giving me the same look. I thought I was in trouble for a second, but she starts laughing, and she told me, "That's how you do it. That's how you put them in their place. I only wish my husband saw you do that. He usually gets aggressive." It was incredibly satisfying, and even though we didn't get one for his awful behavior, I hope he apologized to his daughter. You know, the way Opie handled that guy, I wasn't expecting that at all. And I really do hope he apologized to his daughter as well, because I'm pretty sure that was meant to be a daddy-daughter dinner date that night, and that guy just had to let his Karen come out. And holy was he ever stubborn, wasting 2 hours to try to prove a damn point. But what a drop the mic moment for OP though. Who would have thought that you could defeat a raging Karen with emotions? Okay, so I'm a long-time lurker, and I thought I'd take the time to fully give one of my many entitled people stories. It's a long one, so get ready. For some background, I own a bakery in Canada, where we specialize in custom cakes, cupcakes, cookies, etc. I also do look rather young. I'm 27 years old, but people think I'm as young as 15 to 18. So people will often direct concerns to my father, who helps me out at the bakery from time to time, thinking he's the owner. My bakery also
Yay,
specializes
free
in
Neo
being
points.
completely peanut/tree nut free.
Alright.
This is very important. This means I have to be extremely cautious about where my ingredients are manufactured, making sure there's no cross-contamination on the manufacturing level. We're well known in the community as peanut-free, and for safety and regulations, the peanut-free symbol is displayed everywhere in the store, on our cards, and even a peanut and tree nut-free bakery is sprawled on the walls and banners outside the shop. With that said, on to the story. It's also good to note that following a break-in several months before, I installed cameras in the bakery. That's not normal for a bakery to have them, but I didn't want it to happen again. When this happened, I was stressing out in the middle of wedding season. On a normal non-wedding season week, we only require 7 days notice to place a custom order. We need those 7 days to plan out our week.
That takes
Hence,
care of all
7
of
days
those.
notice. It's also good to note that in my area, our bakery has the shortest pre-order time frame for custom work. We get all the last-minute orders, so normally it's not a problem, and we're more than happy to help. Other places are typically 2 to 4 weeks notice. On this one specific morning, it was my dad and I. There was no scheduled staff until a few hours later.
Yeah,
All
with
is
the shot.
good. We're mostly setting up our showcase, and we start baking the cakes, cupcakes, and cookies for the day's orders, and that's when the door chime goes off. At this point, we weren't even opened, and that's when I realized I forgot to lock the door coming back in from getting a morning coffee. I don't normally mind, so whatever. I announced to the customer I'll be right there. From the back room, I wash my hands and walk to the front, and there she is, the entitled Karen, standing there. She's huffing at me, cross-armed, glaring at me. And I think to myself, oh great, one of these. I say to her, "Good morning, I'm so sorry for the..." She then cuts me off mid-apology, and
so
she says,
that's not loading
"Excuse
either.
me." She then slams her
Okay, anything
handbag
to do
on the
with
front
Flash is
counter,
gonna
and
be
she places
out.
her cup of coffee down next to it. She then says to me, "I would like to place an order for a custom cake." I say to her, oh, that's fantastic. Please excuse me, as we're not fully opened yet. I
I'm
had
not
forgotten to
willing
lock
to
the door
gamble.
behind myself. Let me run to the back office and
Hidden
grab his
Tower
order form.
is
Karen just says,
too
I'm in a
expensive.
hurry. So I run to the back office to get the forms, and I quickly tell Dad to keep an ear out on the conversation, because I know what's to come. He often helps me stay calm when I can't handle high anxiety confrontations. I come back and say, awesome, so what are you looking to get done with us today? Karen says, I need a custom cake done for my daughter's 3rd birthday on Saturday. At that I say, oh, I'm sorry, but we normally require 7 days notice on placing a custom order. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of room left to take a custom order. I can see her getting upset, and she says, what do you mean you can't take my order? Do you not do custom cakes? I tell her, yes we do, but we require 7 days. Well, can't you squeeze it in? It's not complicated, it's baking a cake. Me, being the pushover I am, continued with the stupidest thing I let happen. I say to her, well, it may be possible if it's not complicated and just a basic birthday cake. Why don't you show me what you're looking to get done? And I want to note, a basic birthday cake is a round cake with buttercream and writing. Nothing else to it. No other decorations. Karen then pulls out her phone, and she proceeds to show me several different photos on her phone of huge 3+ tiered cakes, all with dozens of edible realistic gum paste flowers that take days to do. I say to her, I'm sorry ma'am, but this is way too complex of a cake for me to squeeze in on such a short notice. I could do a basic birthday cake like this, but this is about as much as I can do last minute. I then proceed to show her a few photos of a basic birthday cake. Some a tiny bit more elaborate, but nothing close to the images she showed me. Karen then huffs and says, but I want these cakes. Can't you stay late and do them for me? My daughter loves these cakes and she wants them. She loves your cakes. At this point, I start to get annoyed, as I have tons of other baking and work to do. So I say, well, I'm very happy to hear she loves our cakes, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to decline your order. I don't have the time to
I don't have
squeeze
cheese
such a complex
memorized.
order in, and I won't be
Almost
staying later than I
abandoned
already
attic.
am to
So you're
take on
not on the
another
list.
order I can't
Shop
handle.
is for
I'm
users who
sorry,
joined over
but
3
all
years
I
ago.
can do is a basic birthday cake.
Okay.
Hearing that, Karen gets a bit more angry, and I know what's coming. I know my father's in the back listening, and he's probably laughing to himself, knowing how things will play down.
Make
Karen
the
then
garage
says to
sale.
me, I don't care about your other orders. Push them aside. I want to talk to the manager. I know they'll take my order. I tell her, ma'am, there's no manager here. You're speaking directly to the owner right now. I'm the owner of this bakery. Now, remember when I said I looked younger than I actually am? This woman literally thought I was a part-time high school student. She then says to me, are you lying? There's no way you're the owner. You should be in school. I say to her, ma'am, I can assure you, I'm not of school
Jellied
age. I'm
eyeballs.
in fact the owner.
Check.
It's at this point my father decides now's a great time to bring out some items, and he intervenes with this out of control situation. He walks out, and immediately Karen shouts, see? Now this is the manager. My dad says, hello miss, is there anything I can help you
I'm
with?
gonna keep this
He
for
says,
my
yes, your
collection,
employee won't take my order. I came in here this morning
but it's good to
place
know
an
that this
order,
one's
and
actually worth more than I paid
denying
for
me
it,
service.
in
She's
comparison to the other
costing your
plushies,
business
in which
profits.
where I paid
Someone
way
like
more than
this
they're worth.
shouldn't be working here. My
Okay.
dad tells her, I can assure you, I have no control over her employment, and she can't be fired. She's my boss. She's the business owner. And I heard she's offered you a simple cake that she could squeeze in, but any more than that, cake. At this point, she starts to shut up, learning that this is in fact my business, and my father's here helping
I
me out.
only
Still, she's a
lost
bit angry she can't get what she wants, but we still
209
stupidly take the order.
Neo
We
points.
ask her name and contact number, which is important for later,
Wheel of
and we begin the
extravagance.
customization process. She proceeds to choose how she wants the colors of buttercream. Nothing too fancy. Easily done, no problem. That's something I can squeeze in.
Wheel of
And
knowledge.
then crap hits the fan. I say to her, okay ma'am, what flavor of cake
I'll come back to the
buttercream
Wheel of
would you like
Extravagance
for the
later.
cake? She says, chocolate peanut butter please. My daughter
Electrical
loves
moat.
chocolate peanut butter. I say to her, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I
Wheel of
can't do that
mediocrity.
flavor. We're a peanut-free establishment, and I happen to run out of the peanut butter that I usually use. I'd peanut butter. I want real peanut butter.
Wheel of
I say to her,
misfortune.
I'm sorry, but we're a peanut and peanut-free bakery. I can't do that. She then says, well, just keep mine
What misfortune
separated from the
befalls me?
others. Again, I tell her, I'm sorry, I can't. It would be putting those with allergies at
Quibbat
risk.
plushie.
If you can't settle on another
I'll keep
flavor,
this one for
I'm
my
afraid
collection
I'll have
since
to
I
turn
sold my
down your
last
cake
one.
order. She then huffs angrily and says, fine, the
Wheel of
stupid
Monotony.
peanut butter then. I just say, again, I'm sorry, but as stated, I do not have any. She says,
That's
but
gonna
I
keep
want
running in the
peanut.
background
I
for a
tell her
while.
I can't do that. How about
I will
another
hold off on the
flavor?
Wheel of
She says,
Extravagance.
I don't want another flavor. Order more. I say to her again, I can order more, but it's not going to be here in time to do your cake. She then says, can't you find a way to do it? Why don't you bake my cake at your house? That way, you don't cross-contaminate. I just tell her I'm sorry, there's no way I can do that flavor. At this point, my dad steps in again, knowing I'm starting to get overwhelmed, and he takes over so I can step away. My dad tells her, please choose another flavor,
Never
or
mind.
don't place an order. We have a ton of work to do. Karen says, don't tell me what to do. I want this cake. I just tell her to leave. But instead of leaving, the woman then chooses to take this moment to throw a tantrum like a 3-year-old. The woman actually decides to belt the cup of hot coffee she came in with towards the wall behind me to try to scare us into taking her order. But apparently, she's never thrown a ball in her life, and she couldn't aim properly. And she proceeds to hit me right in the left arm with scalding hot coffee. At this point, I lose all professionalism, and I say, what the F, lady? Karen just stands there staring at me cross-armed, and she says, well, are you gonna do my cake now or not? My dad
Shop
says, are you
directory.
effing kidding? You
Good
just
to
threw
know.
coffee at her and you expect her to take your order? Karen says, well, she should know that the customer is always right. Me,
Scared of the
now
void within
enraged,
hub.
I just scream, get out of my store right now.
Is
I will
chapter
not
3
be
available
taking
yet?
any orders. Leave before I call the cops. Karen tries to argue, but I tell her, if you don't leave right now, the only thing you're paying for is my ambulance ride to the emergency room. That's when my dad calls the police and says she's not allowed to leave. We're pressing charges. Karen then says, you can't press charges on me. You don't
Still
know
going.
who I am. You'll never be able to.
Alright.
My dad then shows her the information she gave us just before. And he says, yes, we do. We have your full name and your phone number. Keep pushing it, lady, and it'll be worse. Karen then starts to freak out, attempting to rip the form from my dad's hand. Seeing she's not going to get away with it, she then tries to open her front swinging door. The waist-tight door is locked without her knowing, and she shoves herself hard
that's
into the
going.
door, resulting her completely flipping over the door and landing hard, face first into
Not
the
selling
floor
in
in
any
front
shops at
of
the
my
moment.
father. She's bleeding
How's
from her
the shop?
nose at this point, and she screams, why would you
Do
have
not do
that lock?
this.
You did this to me. I'm charging you with assault. All of this because you won't take a stupid cake order. I scream, you did this yourself. Now leave my store. Karen says, I'm not leaving until the police get here and you're arrested. The woman actually leaves and she sits outside waiting for the police. The police finally come, and they run to her first as she's outside, and she's visibly covered in blood. And she starts spitting her story about how I assaulted her. They then take my statement, and I told them everything the woman did, including throwing hot coffee at me. They took a look at my arm, and they start to see it's blistering slightly, and recommend I go to the emergency room. The woman's just standing there crying hysterically, trying to play the victim screaming. All I wanted was a nice cake for my daughter's birthday, and they
That takes
assaulted
care
me.
of all
I
of
just say to
the
officer, "We
normal
have cameras,
dailies.
and I'd be more than
Let's
happy
go
to
ahead
provide you with
and
all the evidence you need to show what happened."
Employment
Karen
agency.
is now terrified, staring at us, and she says, "Fine, I'm just gonna leave then." Officer tells her, "Sorry, but if you did indeed throw a coffee at her, then you're gonna have to stay."
Check
The
my
officer
inventory
asked me
for
to
my
pull up
job
any
tickets.
recordings I need. Thankfully, it's very
Bronze
easy on my
Brightvale
cameras,
coupon.
as they're all connected to my phone, and I can pull up the exact timestamps for
Jump to
assault.
the end.
I end up going to the hospital, and I was okay. Minor burns, obviously. It was coffee, not lava. The woman ends up getting charged for assault and lying to the officer about false details of the event. She was also forced to pay for the ambulance ride to the ER. Treatment was free, obviously, in Canada, but ambulances are not covered in our health care. I also found out later that she's already banned from many other bakeries in the area when word got out what she'd done to me. So the moral of the story is, don't be an entitled person, and please pre-order your damn cakes. What a wild ride that was, hey? All over a freaking
One,
cake, guys. Like, I can't believe it. Like, it's just so baffling how people have months and months to plan birthdays, and they literally
two,
leave it until the last minute.
three.
And my freaking goodness, whatever happened to going to other places for Cake Karen? Like, if one place can't do it for you, go to another place that can, and you won't go to jail. But that, my friends, is entitled
There we
people.
go.
They just have to have what they want when they want, right? With that said, the part where they were going back and forth about the peanut butter and Karen not getting it through her head, I swear I lost brain cells just reading about how not smart she was. But guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I hope you didn't shake your heads too hard. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r slash entitled People episode, another one, where a
Two piles
psycho
of
family
sludge.
demands OP's 5-year-old daughter. It's such a wild story, so go check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.
Right. Let's do the futile and search for a pink or purple job. Gotcha. Okay. So, check the guide. Gold is next. Look for a gold job. Bunch of gold bright veil jobs, and those are the most expensive, most highest payout. Okay. Next on the rankings is silver. Silver bright veil. Silver bright veil. Silver bright veil. Wait, was that a regular silver? Or another silver bright veil? Silver bright veil. Looks like it's a blue job for me. We. Alright. Oh, red jobs are actually rarer than blue? Huh. Okay. Red. Red. Mushroom toothpaste. See if this one's worth it. 1,000. Okay, 1,100 times 4. Doable. Okay. Slime ghost trick sandwich. It sounds rare, so it's probably going to be more expensive, but just in case. Weirdly, no. Okay. Apply for this job. You've taken enough jobs today. Come back tomorrow. Rats. Okay. Well, it's a good thing I didn't buy any then. Whee. Okay. That takes care of the employment agency. Now, for the real test. Okay. Quick stock. Send all available. Oh, hold on. Ah, that's what I did wrong. Back. And see. Open the fortune cookie. I'll be locked out of Shop Wizard for this next one. Alright. Probably should put this in the closet. It isn't letting me open one. So that means I probably have one more free. Okay. Explore. Fairy City. Fairy Quests. Oh, my fortune cookie ends in 5 days. I've only done 4 of these. Yay. Okay. Oh, the soup fairy. I need your help. I'm nearly out of ingredients for making soup. A large spirulina smoothie. Let's go to the nursery malls. I've already forgotten what it was I was looking for. Curse you, dissociation. Spirulina smoothie. And now, price comparison. Item not found. 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 Okay, so the nursery malls don't have it. MPT maps. Stock of overpriced paintbrushes. I keep forgetting that they're never any help. Okay. I just know you're going to wind up. Okay. Need to remember to put Lou back in the main party because that is going to my secondary battle Neopet. Not the one that I'm actively training. Sadly. Okay. Fairy Quest 1 done. not as expensive as it could have been. Okay. Okay. With the Snow Fairy's usual quests. Alright. Yeah, this one's a bit on par. Alright. start with the one that gets blocked by the shop wizard. Here we go. Milk chocolate Tanu. Eee, that's gonna sting. That's...
Let's say I'm working on a research paper about the future of renewable energy, and I come across a study with findings I want to include in my paper. I can use Grammarly to paraphrase it so it fits more seamlessly into my paper. First, I select the text I want to paraphrase from a website I'm on, and copy and paste it into my doc. Then I click the Grammarly icon and select Shorten It. Grammarly provides a trimmed down sentence that keeps the main point intact, and click Insert to add it to my doc. Because I'm rewording text from an original source, I need to cite my sources. Next, there are parts of my paper that just aren't quite compelling enough. Grammarly
And
can
I
help
just
transform
realized
the
I
tone to make it more persuasive.
deposited
To do this, I
the
select
other
the text
ingredient,
I want to change
milk
and
chocolate
click the Grammarly
Tanu.
icon again. Then I select Make It Persuasive. Grammarly provides a more convincing rewrite I can paste into my doc. Beyond shortening text and transforming my tone, Grammarly can also help me untangle complicated, hard-to-follow sentences to ensure my points are clear and easy to understand. Make sure you download Grammarly for AI writing assistance. Now go write.
Genius, you're just in time to see my true last action. When you least expect it, my direct back heel!
Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/am I overreacting for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do so in the comments down below. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSubs, whose goes Oz, check out! Impressive method, 7923. Am I overreacting? My sister told me she was thinking about what it would feel like to punch me in my pregnant belly. Now, me and my husband are thinking about not letting her have a relationship with our child. Am I overreacting? Now, there is an update to this one that we will be reading afterwards. My husband, 31 male, and I, 30 female, are currently 7 months pregnant. We decided to have our baby shower back at our hometown so that our family and friends could make it. We arrived 5 days before the shower in order to spend some time with our families. We usually stay at my parents' house, which consists of my parents and my sister, 28 female. Our families have not seen me in about 6 months, and this would be the first time they saw my pregnant belly. The first day we arrived, my parents were joyful and excited to spend time with us and finally see me pregnant and show it. My sister showed up after being out with friends later that night, and as soon as she saw me, she looked disgusted. She slowly walked towards me, making a disgusted face and saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you look like that." She said hi and proceeded to tell me that on the drive home, she was thinking about how it would feel to punch me in the belly. Deadpan. There was no chuckle after or any sense of it being even remotely a joke. I was in shock and immediately felt unsafe, but tried not to have a visible reaction for my parents' sake. I stood there a couple of minutes while she poked my stomach while making a disgusted look and just felt incredibly uncomfortable and on guard for any sudden movements. I then excused myself and said I was going to sleep. Throughout the following days leading up to the shower, I avoided her and shared what happened with my husband and parents who had overheard the conversation but hadn't quite grasped exactly what she had said to me. They were all concerned and my mom spoke to her friend that happens to be a therapist. This therapist friend told my mom that what my sister said was extremely concerning and needed to be addressed. When my parents addressed it with her, she blamed her anxiety and depression and told them that my husband and I have everything and now we're having a baby and she has nothing to live for. She said all she does is go to work and sleep. For background, she's been going to therapy and on depression and anxiety medication for about 10 years. She's been extremely rude and selfish her entire life, and this isn't the first time she says that she's had suicidal thoughts. During my college years, I moved out of my parents' house and she blamed her depression on me leaving the house for leaving her behind and threatened my parents with suicidal comments. Throughout the years, she's made my parents feel like I need to be responsible for her mental health and happiness. It comes off to me and other family members like she manipulates my parents into doing everything for her because of her depression. After the baby shower and some long conversations between my husband and I, we're trying to unpack it all. We're considering not allowing her to have contact with our daughter once she's born.
Yep,
We
we're not
assume she
doing the
doesn't
Wheel of
want to make
Extravagance
an
anytime
effort to build a
soon.
relationship with our child anyways. Are we overreacting? So before we wander on over into the update, I just want to say two things. One, using your anxiety and depression as a crutch to excuse your actions is not okay. There is a massive difference between blaming your actions on your depression and anxiety and saying something like, hey, yesterday was a really rough day for me and I'm sorry, but my depression and anxiety got the best of me and my actions were inexcusable. The
I'm
difference
not
between the
helping
two
you
of these
anymore,
is that in
lady.
one of them, you're using your anxiety and depression to excuse your actions, while in the other, you are using them to
Alright.
explain your actions, but personally, taking accountability for what you've done. As someone who does have depression and anxiety, that is a massive pet peeve of mine. And for the other half of this, yeah, I actually really do think that you are underreacting in this scenario, or if not, properly reacting in this scenario. It's one thing if it would be a really inappropriate joke and still just telling your sister, hey, that joke really made me uncomfortable because you joked about killing my child, compared to your sister just deadpan telling you, hey, I want to kill your child and see what it feels like, with no explanation for that comment. And then going off to say, yeah, but it's fine because you lived a more privileged life than me. That's insane. And now let's take a look at that update. So I definitely think I underreacted and have just been desensitized to her nasty comments, manipulative actions, rude behavior, and just overall attitude. I'd like to address those saying that I should have done more in the moment. Yeah, I should have. But it's easy to see that when thinking back on it, or when, like you, I'm sitting behind a screen reading this situation and what you think you would have done. It's another thing entirely when it's actually happening to you in the moment. For those saying that my parents are coddling her, yes, they are. However, I think most parents that are being told by their child that they're suicidal would probably try to keep that from happening in any way they can. And I agree. My parents need to seek therapy to help them understand how to better handle her. My sister is an adult and they can't just reach out to her therapist. Her therapy is virtual and they have no contact information for them. Regarding those wondering what she's been diagnosed with, all I know is the anxiety and depression. My husband and I have speculated about her being narcissistic and having a personality disorder like borderline, but we don't think she's been diagnosed.
This
and
one
if
I
she
actually
has,
have
she hasn't
memorized.
shared that with us. I also think therapy is what you make of it, and there's no way to know what exactly she shares with her therapist. Like I said, she's an adult, and some of the suggestions in the comments aren't taking that into consideration. For those suggesting she gets a psych evaluation, how does one go about getting one of those? I mean, without having the cops called or forcing her to go to the hospital and getting her involuntarily hospitalized, is there a less
See
traumatic
what
way
it
of
sells
requesting a psych
for the
evaluation to be
normal
performed,
player.
assuming she'd be willing? For those
5.
suggesting my parents kick her out, they are never going to do that. If she were to ever kill herself, they would feel completely responsible, as probably any parent would. So whether or not she's manipulating anyone,
Good.
it's still just a fact that no one is willing to take that risk with their own child. I would also like to point out that even before this incident, my husband and I had already agreed that we would never have her watch our child or my parents' house when we came to town to visit after our kid is born, because it'd just be uncomfortable. Lack of space. For those concerned about me still being around her, the baby shower is now done and over with, and we're safely back at home. Very far away, and there's no way of her being around me. Thank you for all those who wish me well. Your thoughts are appreciated. For those saying this is a fake post, all I have to say is I really wish it was. Mental Bird 555. Am I overreacting that my partner keeps getting so drunk he wets the bed? I'm honestly at a complete loss right now. We've been together for 3 years and he definitely struggles with alcohol addiction. He's now started wetting the bed when he gets too drunk, and I feel like I'm nearing my limits at this point with his alcohol consumption and what it does to our lives. He went to a wedding last night, and I opted not to go because I don't want to be around him when he's partying. I let him borrow my camper that I had just bought a brand new mattress for so he could spend the night there. I've also been planning on selling the mattress because it's not quite the right size. Anyways, this morning, I discovered that he had pissed all over the mattress last night. I was obviously upset, and the first thing he says was, "Hello, honey, nice to see you too," which honestly feels manipulative to me. Like, you just ruined my brand new mattress. Of course I'm upset. Then, when I told him that I was disappointed, he yelled at me and told me he's disappointed in himself, so why would he want to hear that from me? Am I overreacting here? Is it wrong for me to be upset with him? So let's start with laying an unfortunate foundation. If he's at a point in his life where he is actively pissing the bed, and that is not a wake-up call for him to lessen his drinking, there is probably not a damn thing you can do in the relationship to get him to stop drinking. And as shitty as it is to say, he's not your responsibility. You've got to put you first. And not everyone's in a position where they can just up and leave a relationship. If you can put your ducks in a row and do that, that should be what you're doing in this position, is you should be leaving him. But if you can't, you need to set some hard boundaries immediately. And probably start with having him replace the mattress. At the end, all I can really say is good luck and make sure you put yourself first. Hug one corn. Am I overreacting for telling my husband I won't eat out with his parents anymore? I, 29 female, and my husband,
sell the
34
code
male, have been
stones.
together for 11 years. I know my in-laws well at this point. We don't see them often because they're out of state. Background. I have a history of disordered eating and bulimia. I'm much better now, I've been in therapy for years, but I do still get triggered from time to time. The problem is every time my husband and I go out to eat with mother-in-law. She's always saying weird stuff and commenting about the size of everyone's plate and how much they're eating. She's constantly talking about counting calories. When the food comes, she immediately asks for a box and packs up 1/2 to 3/4 of her meal and encourages everyone else to do the same. What a huge sandwich! I could never eat that much, is one of her favorite comments. Not only that, but her and father-in-law are rude to waitstaff, and it's really embarrassing for me and my husband. We both worked in the service industry, so maybe
I've
we
got
don't have
enough
a better
room
handle
for-
on how to treat people, but mother-in-law sends her food back at least once every time we eat out. Mother-in-law likes to brag about how she put my husband on a secret diet as a kid. I think it's super weird, and I've seen the way her eating disorder has affected my husband over the years. After our last restaurant experience with them, I told my husband I think it's too much, and I just prefer that we all make something at home if this is going to continue. He agreed, but did admit that it would be hard to explain to mother-in-law and father-in-law. Am I overreacting? I just don't want to feel the urge to fall back into my
2,500.
eating disorder every time they come around. Edit. Wow, I really appreciate everyone's support. It's easy to talk yourself into letting bad behavior go when you're just trying to make something work. Thank you everyone for making me feel less alone in this. Second, I want to clarify that my husband is 100% on board and fully aware of
God damn
mother-in-law's
it.
toxic behavior. He understands how important it is to set boundaries with her, and he actually does,
Just
which
have to.
I'm proud of him for. Again, you gotta put you first. That's what's important here. You are actively putting yourself at risk by going out to dinner with them, and honestly, probably just having them around in general. There is nothing wrong with you putting yourself first in this situation. The easiest way you might be able to convince them is just by pulling the "it's healthier and better for us" card, because if the mother-in-law seems to be very calorie counting, chances are she's probably also health conscious. So that might be your best bet. Because you can't pull the finance card of saying we don't have the finances for it, because then they might just offer to pay for it, and then you knock out any other opportunity you have, because then it's clearly making an excuse. So don't pull the finances card. Being direct and upfront might cause confrontation and sour things, or could lead to other escalations, so you can't usually go with that. So in my eyes, I think taking the health-conscious route is probably your best way to convince the mother-in-law that eating at home is the better option, if that's actually what you want. You could also just cold turkey cut off having dinners and foods with them and reserve it to just family gatherings. I mean, that's also an option as well, because chances are if you cook at home, you're still going to have the same problems. Just at least she's not going to be an ass with a waitstaff, which is pretty fucking embarrassing. You could also just bite the bullet and have a direct conversation about everything and see what happens, but that could either go horribly wrong, or it could actually open the door to improving the relationship with the mother-in-law. I don't know. I'd be curious to see what y'all have to say in the comments on this one, because I don't think going no contact is an answer here. This one is interesting because it's one that I've been wanting to have for a long time. We get both perspectives of this story, from both the husband and the wife. I'm looking forward to this. Am I overreacting for getting upset when my wife had another man in the delivery room? Last month, I'm 28 male, my wife, 25 female, called me in a frenzy telling me that her water broke and that she was going into labor. This was incredibly shocking to both of us because she was still early on in the pregnancy. My problem with this is that I was already on the road, about 30 minutes away tending to my mother, who had just called me to tell me that she was in an accident. Not a significant one, but it still shook her up. I told my wife to call an ambulance because I would not be turning around to drive her to the hospital and witness her birth. What the fuck? She yelled, cursed, cried, and screamed at me through the phone while I tried to calm her by telling her to call my sister if she didn't want to call an ambulance, since my sister lives only 20 to 25 minutes away. After this, she went silent and hung up, and I didn't hear from her for about an hour and a half after the call. I checked my phone for the first time since getting to my mother, and my sister sent me a video of my wife actively giving birth while holding her male friend's hand the way women squeeze their husband's hand for comfort during labor. My sister immediately followed up the video with a text that said, "When are you going to get here?" I ignored this text and asked her if she's the one who drove my wife to the hospital, and she responded no. I asked her who did, and she informed me that it was my wife's male friend, who lives only 10 minutes away, who drove her and was getting his hand squeezed by my wife. I ended up just asking my sister for the full story while I drove my mother back to her home since everything was sorted out with the accident. Long story short, instead of calling my sister or an ambulance, my wife called her male friend that I've always unliked, but never informed my wife. I told my sister to get on FaceTime with me, but not to make it obvious to anyone else in the delivery room, and I would stay silent on the other end. During the call, I saw my wife's male friend rubbing her back, wiping her tears, comforting her when she screamed and cried, etc. I couldn't bear the sight, and I ended the FaceTime and told my sister to inform my wife that I would be at the hospital the next day after work whenever she got out of labor. My sister called almost 2 hours later to tell me she had left the hospital and that my wife would be staying the night. The next day, around 3 to 4 p.m. Oh my god. No, you did not. The next day, around 3 to 4 p.m., when I went over to the hospital to see my wife and newborn son, she was not trying to hide her anger or saltiness from anyone in the room. That included mostly my family and some of hers. When I asked her why she was acting this way, she rolled her eyes and told me to leave her the fuck alone, in front of everyone. Later, when I tried to hold my son, she snatched him from my hands. In this hospital, visiting hours ended at 8, but all of the guests, excluding me, left by 6. When we were alone, I finally got the chance to have a conversation with her about why she's being so salty on a memorable day that should have been filled with love and joy. She responded by getting angry and mumbling something about my audacity to miss her birth and be surprised that she's angry. I'm not proud of this, but in response, I called her a cheater for inviting another man into the delivery room in place of her husband. She did invite you, you fucking idiot! This spiraled into a short, full-blown argument between us that eventually ended when an NICU nurse came back with the baby. I shouldn't be laughing at this, but this is deranged. As her son, her baby, etc. I've tried to get closer to her by sitting down and trying to have a deep conversation about our family's future, and she flat out told me that she was never having another child with me after what happened, which deeply hurt me. Last week, I heard my wife on the phone talking about who would be godfathers and mothers to our son. She told whoever was on the other end that she would be choosing the male friend as godfather because he was there for me when my name couldn't care less. This post is all over the place, but let me know if I overreacted in the argument when I saw her in the delivery room after she gave birth, or if anyone knows how to fix my marriage and family. Edit, no, this isn't rage bait. I genuinely need advice. Sorry if the wording made it seem that way. I also didn't know the accident was minor until I arrived, and everyone suggesting we get a divorce doesn't know the meaning and dedication of marriage and family. If you have questions, please message me if you want me to answer. Okay. Let's just give you full benefit of the doubt with your mother having an accident and you just having to rely on other people to help you with your wife. I could understand that. It is shitty, but at least it's understandable you wanting to make sure that your mother is okay while your wife was giving birth. What is unfucking fathomable is you going home, going to bed, going to work, and then seeing your wife after she gave birth. And you had the fucking audacity to yell at her for relying on someone else? You couldn't even be there, after the accident was over. Like, it is so laughable how dense you are during this. I could barely contain it. Hell, I couldn't contain it. Dude, there is no recovery from this. If you had maybe shown up afterwards, yeah, there would be some tension, but at least it would be understandable. But you waited like almost a full 24 hours before checking in with your wife, and then you were mad at her because she had to rely on other people because you couldn't be damned. Of course it's her child. Anyways, let's see the wife's point of view. Update. Am I overreacting for getting upset at my wife for having another man in the delivery room? I'm the wife from that post, lol, quickly as I can. Yes, I did call my husband to tell him that my water broke, and he did tell me that he wouldn't make it and to call an ambulance or his sister, who has called me a slur to my face before, so I don't know why he thought this would be a good idea. I did not call his sister because we don't get along, and I have a friend that lives closer to us. He ends up driving me to the hospital, and his sister pulls in the lot almost right after us. Don't know how she knew I was going, so now I'm in pain, scared, upset at my husband, and have someone I don't like with me during my most vulnerable moments. I was holding my male friend's hand because why wouldn't I be? Now, it was very obvious that sister-in-law was recording me in some way because she was basically isolating herself from everyone else in the room with her phone to her chest and pointing at me. I didn't think that she was on FaceTime with anyone. I just thought she was filming me. Which is equally as weird. I'm not sure why I brushed it off or didn't ask about it when I was more stable. My husband did in fact show up the next day around 4 p.m. and tried to act like nothing happened, and I was very moody and rude to him, which was probably very immature of me. No, you're fine. This later broke out into an argument after everyone left, where he called me a cheater and I also said some very nasty things, and you were justified. I've been isolating me and my son away from him as much as I can and trying to be less dependent on him in some aspects. The reason for this is because I feel that I can't trust him to keep my son safe or change his diaper or pour my breast milk into a bottle and feed him or burp him or basically do anything for my son at all. It is true that I and my son are financially dependent on my husband like he has stated before, and because of this fact, I cannot divorce him. Not now at least, because I do not have any support system or a family that lives near us to help me and my son, and I'm still in school. I know staying for the kids isn't healthy, but my family has recommended for me to stay for the sake of my schooling and my son's happiness. My husband had stated multiple times that he had apologized, but these, quote, apologies were just along the lines of, "I'm sorry, will you stop being angry now?" No, I am not sleeping with a male friend. We've been friends since 2nd grade, and there's never been anything romantic or sexual between us. Please don't mind my spelling or grammar. English is my first language, nor am I from an English-speaking country, and this was also rushed. Your grammar is better than your husband's. Feel free to ask any questions because I tend to leave details out. This whole thing feels as unrealistic as it sounds. Also, a nurse never came back with the baby after the argument. That's not even how it works. I would say in this situation, couples counseling is your best bet because your husband did fundamentally erode your trust and you have every right to not trust him to take care of the child. And the fact that he doesn't understand what he did is very concerning. Again, it is one thing to check on his mother and then go to the hospital right after and be apologetic and to be there for you and support you. It is an entirely different gamble, with a fucking paradox, billiards, Russian roulette, fourth dimensional, hypercube chess, strip poker moment for him to just simply not show up, go to work, and then show up at 4 p.m. and act like nothing happened. What kind of gambit is that? You have every right to be mad at him. Bleep blorp, and that's the username. Am I overreacting when I refuse to say please when a customer demanded it because I found it creepy? I, 20 female, work in a retail job where I have multiple responsibilities and am required to be nice to customers. Over the 4 years I worked there, I've had multiple instances when customers try to flirt with me, ask me out, or are just inappropriate. So I've grown a shiny spine towards men's advances and have a sixth sense to their bullshit. This specific instance includes a regular in his mid-40s to early 50s who came into my line to buy a case of beer. I begun the transaction by asking him if he can show his ID. Because our store policy required all customers to show a valid ID before they can purchase alcohol. He knew of the store policy, but proceeds to play a weird game of, "I'm not showing you my ID unless you say please," with a grin plastered on his face. This caused me to be stunned for a second, with my immediate response being that I need the ID if he wants to buy beer. The dude then goes on to say that he wanted me to ask him nicely, which led me to refuse and say that I can just stop the sale. Reluctantly, he shows me his ID while stating that he was trying to teach me manners, and sticks his middle finger out as he hands me the money. Sounds like he needs some manners as well. I had a similar situation to this happen to me before, leading to me to think that men are demanding me to say please have some sort of fetish or need to express dominance. Overall, I find learning manners from a middle age I don't know to be creepy and gross. So Reddit, did I overreact? Edit 1. Hey guys, thank you for all your replies. I know manners can be a polarizing subject for people, especially in situations of customer service. I appreciate your guys' advice about adding please to my question. It just became a force of habit to say, can you show me your ID? I got a lot I gotta say on this in a bit. Because I was taught that please was used during an optional request, and usually people that are buying one item just want to leave the store quickly. I prefer to instead say thank you, as even during this one, I said it to him twice for his ID and shopping, though he may have thought I was making fun of him. A very cute version of the shrug emote. In the case of my management, they're really good about having my back on these things, especially in customer interactions. I'm pretty good about de-escalating situations and am one of the few native English speakers, and don't take things to heart. Also, I have other skills that make up for some of my shortfalls. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom, stories, and even your troll comments, because they still give me a laugh. I'm kind of scared to actually go down and read what some of the comments are saying, but my 2 cents is that as a guy, if I was working the cash register, no one would ever ask me to say please to them. Unless it was like a little old lady, that might be a different
Check to
circumstance.
see how
But
long I've got on.
no one would ever ask me
Nope,
to
it
add
was
a
a
please to my
15-minute timer.
question. This is entirely a female issue, where, I mean, as they stated, I don't know if it's a fetish thing, but it could be like a dominance assertion thing, or just a guy being creepy and liking it when younger women tell him please. But still, I know for a damn fact that as a guy, no one would ever say this to me. Especially because this so-called paragon of manners who was requesting them to say please to teach them a lesson, used the middle finger after he was denied. To me, this sounds like someone who isn't very well versed in manners, in my opinion. I decided to have some fun and sort by controversial, and a lot of the comments that are being downvoted to oblivion are usually ones that are stating like, it's not that hard to say please. And I don't think that's the problem here. I think the problem is the fact that a male cashier isn't going to have the same interaction as a female cashier. Yeah, sure, please might make things a little bit easier, but that's not the point of this here. And keep in mind before you go scurrying to the comments to disagree with me, he did flip her off after the request was denied. I don't think the point of this post is whether or not it's proper etiquette to say please or thank you while working in the service industry. I think the point of this post is the fact that she encountered a customer who she found creepy that she refused to say please to. Hell, when I was working in the service industry, it was really damn common for me to leave the back when I was on grill or cooking or doing stock and inventory and run the register because one of the girls up front was really creeped out by a customer, so I posted up there and just had them do some menial task that, I was going to do anyways while I dealt with the problem, which normally was just standing in place and, being the twink up front. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.
let's go ahead and, since I'm going to be online for a little bit longer, let's listen to some Last Week Tonight.
So this is the largest monster manual the game has ever had. Over 5.
But we're going to jump right into our main story tonight, which concerns the Republican National Convention, the worst thing to happen to Milwaukee since Jeffrey Dahmer. This week saw the usual pageant of prominent politicians on stage and abject weirdos in the audience, from attendees wearing bandages on their ears to matched Trumps to this guy crashing a reporter's shot in a "Where is the Epstein client list" t-shirt to this woman in a bride-to-be sash having the most cursed bachelorette party in existence. It feels like she told her bridesmaid she wanted to see a bunch of dicks on stage and they tragically misunderstood the assignment. Although, to be fair, if anything screams last night of freedom, it is the Republican National Convention. There was also Hulk Hogan tearing his shirt off, Kid Rock stream singing to a crowd that was either not into it or way too into it, and a speech from Perry Johnson, a failed presidential candidate from Michigan, who put his all into rallying the crowd, only to be played off by the band with the best possible song choice.
President Trump is ready to save our country, to make America great again. I am ready to do whatever is necessary to get Trump back in the White House. Are you with me?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes! Yes! Trump! 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 Let's do it!
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, he got smash-mouthed. And while there is never a good time to play that song, the funniest time for the lyric "not the sharpest tool in the shed" is immediately following a pro-Trump speech by a man who apparently showed both his plastic surgeon and hairstylist a photo of Holland Taylor and said, "This is different from this convention."
Trump claims the moment has now changed him. He said he will adopt a different tone going forward in this campaign.
Look, this is going to be
Different,
tone.
The attack
worse.
on Trump has changed the storyline and the tone of this convention, with the former president calling for unity.
But that was never going to happen. Because you expect to see certain things at the RNC. Elephant earrings, cowboy hats, a massive spike in grinder usage. But a message of unity is not something traditionally associated with that event, or indeed this man. And unsurprisingly, the RNC was in no way toned down.
The Democrats' disastrous record on crime, trade, and regulation has ruined the lives of countless Minnesotans.
Jesus.
For your
Ugh.
They're indoctrinating them with poisonous attitudes on race and gender.
We become totally unhinged if Donald Trump is not elected in November.
Okay. All of that was awful, but that last camera cut was just spectacular. If you had asked me what is next to this guy just out of the frame and given me 1,000 guesses, there is no way I'm saying a lumpy bulldog lounging in an armchair like he's being interviewed at the 92nd Street Y. And do not drag a bulldog to the RNC. Life is hard enough for them. To have the soul of a wolf trapped inside the body of a wrinkly bowling ball, to be inbred over centuries into the perfect genetic car crash, that dog doesn't deserve to be made into a prop at the RNC. It deserves a rawhide bone and an apology from humanity. And that was all before we got to Trump's bonkers 90-minute-plus speech on Thursday, in which he initially promised that he was running to be president of all of America, not half of America, but quickly went off-prompter to rant about crazy Nancy Pelosi and the China virus and repeatedly suggest the 2020 election was stolen. But the big theme that he and so many other speakers kept returning to this week was this.
We have to stop the invasion into our country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year.
Biden has welcomed into our country rapists, murderers, even terrorists.
We are facing an unprecedented invasion.
I'm saving up for the Grey Drake morphing potion
And
and the Grey Philale.
It looks like and it feels like an invasion because it is.
We are facing an invasion on our southern border. Not figuratively, a literal invasion.
I do not like that man, Ted Cruz. I do not like his toxic views. I do not like his nasty speeches. I do not like the shit he preaches. I do not like him when he fishes. I do not like him when he kisses. Pulling off that beard he ain't, that man, Ted Cruz, looks like a taint. And I will say, I know the Republican Party gets a lot of shit for only landing D-list celebrities, but I do have to hand it to them. Booking the actual pair from the American Gothic painting was a pretty good get. And look, it's no accident Republicans are focusing so hard on immigration. Recent polling shows it's the second most important issue among Americans. But a big reason for that is the relentless bad faith fear-mongering around the issue by the Republican Party.
Or I could get a fuzz stick and get my Neo points back up fast.
Of the toxic phrase migrant crime. Now, starting in late January,
I
Fox
could.
began using it a lot, and always to build a very specific narrative.
Concerns of a migrant crime wave are growing across New York City. Every third day, there's a story about
Or I could
There's a migrant crime spree,
wait.
killing Americans, and the president's an accessory to murder.
Yeah, out of nowhere, there was a surge in talk of migrant crime, which went from occasional mentions in December and January to over 300 mentions in February. Basically, migrant crime seemed to come out of nowhere.
Screw it, I need to
and
get
it
my
was suddenly
points
all
up
over the place.
fast.
Like, what the Sigma and skibbity toilets. And by the way, those are real phrases used by the younger generations, or they were, until I just ruined them by having them slide out of my old mouth. And as the use of that term skyrocketed, there was a correlating spike in concern about immigration, with the number of Americans who viewed it as their number one issue jumping 8 points between January and February. But this wasn't reflecting anything happening in the real world. Because to be very clear, there is no migrant crime wave happening right now. In fact, there is no crime wave at all. Crime in general has been trending downward in recent years, including this one, with murder, rape, robbery and property crime all decreasing, even as talk of migrants committing those crimes has exploded. As for migrant crime specifically, experts will tell you there is no evidence of a relationship between somebody's immigrant status and their involvement in crime. In fact, while most states don't track crime data by immigration status, in the one state that does, Texas, researchers have found the illegal immigrant criminal conviction rate is roughly 45% below that of native-born Americans. And yet, despite that, there has been a wave of conservatives claiming there is a wave of migrant crime. And that is almost definitely going to be continuing until November. So given that, tonight, let's talk about migrant crime. And let's start with where exactly the term came from. Because if you listen to Trump, which obviously you should not, he'll say it was all his idea.
It's a new
Let's try to find
migrant crime. There's crime, there's violent crime, there's migrant crime. We have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's going to be worse than any other form of crime.
Okay. Obviously, that is not a new category of crime, and obviously he didn't invent it, because you can't invent putting two words together. Although, I will say he has tried to innovate the phrase. At one point this year, he told an audience that it should be called Biden migrant crime, but that's too long, which is true. And luckily, he workshopped a solution to that problem in real time.
Because Joe Biden allowed this to happen, we will call it from now on Biden migrant crime, okay? It's migrant crime. This is, we'll call it, I got it, migrant. Let's call it migrant. Biden crime. Oh, that's good. That's smart. Migrant crime.
Okay, I'll give him this. He did coin the term migrant crime. You can have that one, Doniel. It is the stupidest term I've ever heard, but it is all yours. And I love the fact that he literally pointed to his head when he said, "That's smart." Almost like he was saying, I know where thoughts come from, and it's not here, or here, or here. It's here. This is where the smart comes from. I call it my smart lump, or smump. I came up with that one too. But if you go back and actually look, the event that prompted first Fox and then Trump to start pushing the term migrant crime was a brawl that happened on January 27th of this year in Times Square. You may even remember the police released this 45-second clip of officers fighting with a group of migrants. It got a ton of play on Fox, where one particular detail about what happened afterward got extra attention.
A gang of migrants broke into the country, pummeled 2 NYPD officers, and while walking out of jail without
Checking
bail,
the average
threatened
price of the
to
Christmas
double
paint.
bird to the country that let him in.
Christmas paintbrush again. I got it for like 8,000 because somebody was selling it for cheap.
For the record, the symbol for the Biden presidency is absolutely not 2 birds. As we all know, it is a bunch of piss-stained Democrats nervously Googling
Average
how
price is still
old a person
14,000.
allowed to be.
Like, I would use the Christmas paintbrush, but this is actually the perfect opportunity to switch my avatar back. My primary loop is a Christmas loop.
Fox kept hammering their coverage of that incident, with perhaps the apex being a segment where Sean Hannity did an interview with Curtis Sliwa, the head of the vigilante group The Guardian Angels, live from Times Square. Now, during the interview, Sliwa's fellow angels suddenly mobilized towards something off camera, and he later explained they'd had to get physical with a migrant whom they'd seen committing a crime.
Well, he had been shoplifting first. The Guardian Angels spotted him, stopped him, he resisted, and let's just say we gave him a little pain compliance. His mother back in Venezuela felt the vibrations.
Oh, gross. Fucking bigotry always makes me sick. 1 hour, 30 minutes left.
They think they rule the night. This is our country.
That'll net me 40 points.
Then we're going to kick them back from where they came.
Hold on. First, rule the night on 42nd Street? I call bullshit. Anyone who lives here knows the night there is ruled by groups of 13-year-olds leaving Aladdin on their way to the Red Lobster 1 block away. Let me say this clearly. Immigrants are not invading our country. They are not taking over 42nd Street. But if they are...
Act 2 starts tomorrow, meaning Chapter 3 is releasing.
Other things that feel important to mention...
Hopefully at the same time.
If you think they're committing a crime. And second, you should never go out in public dressed like that. He looks like Alan Arkin playing one of the Angry Birds. He looks like a divorced strawberry. He looks like if the G.I. Joes had an off-hours bowling team. But it gets worse, because it turned out the man they'd beaten up wasn't actually a migrant at all, and there was no evidence to support the allegation he was shoplifting. It seems like what actually happened is that Sliwa's goons apprehended the guy for allegedly attempting to disrupt a live interview, which is not a crime, and also not what he did, since surveillance footage apparently shows he was just trying to maneuver through the crowd when the vigilantes confronted him. But Sliwa said he believed the man was a migrant because he was speaking Spanish. Something that can be said of about roughly 25% of this city, including, by the way, me. ¿Qué vas a hacer, Curtis Sliwa? Soy inmigrante y estoy hablando español. ¿Me vas a mandar tu pendejos, hijo de puta? Tu cara es demasiado estúpida y tu cara también. Eres una mierda y no creo que tu mamá esté orgullosa de ti. And it turns out, even the facts of the original Times Square incident that started all of this fell apart in similar fashion, because when more camera footage came out, it revealed how the whole incident had begun and made the NYPD look less like unwitting victims and more like the instigators.
NYPD body cam video takes us inside that Times Square brawl that made national headlines. That and new surveillance video police released, raising more questions tonight whether the January altercation should have happened at all. The 2 officers approached the group of men.
Vamos, what's core 1?
The crowd is giving direction to please disperse, that they're blocking the sidewalk.
The video doesn't support that, as people are seen walking by. Most of the group immediately moves, but Yohenry Brito in yellow is the last to leave, telling police, "Don't touch me." But when he starts to finally obey the officer's orders,
I'm probably gonna fail miserably, but
the group begins singing a derogatory song, and then this. Immediately after Brito yells, "Looks like ugly Betty" to the group, the officer is shown pushing him up against a wall.
Yeah, if you watch the wide shot, it becomes clear that what set the whole scuffle off is one cop choosing to push that guy up against a wall after the other one got called Ugly Betty. And for what it's worth, This is what the cop looked like. And if you're thinking, well, he only kind of looks like Ugly Betty, let me remind you, in Latin America, Ugly Betty looks like this, and that is a fair hit. And violence is not an acceptable response
Yeah,
to someone
I
being
just
insulted
failed.
that correctly. Do you think there haven't been moments when I haven't wanted to
Still too
throw
weak.
someone against a wall because they called me worst Sheldon, or a less sexual Screech, or what would happen if the rat and the chef and Ratatouille fucked? Sure. It hurts my feelings, Mom, but it's also fair and it doesn't justify violence. But wait, because there's one more twist here. Remember the guy flipping the double birds, who was on Fox News at least 66 times? The symbol of migrant crime. Well, funny story, the Manhattan DA ended up dismissing the charges against him because it turned out he had nothing to do with the incident. He wasn't even there. The NYPD apparently mistook him for a completely different person for a mystery reason that I'm sure wasn't racist at all. So he was arrested for something he didn't do, spent 2 nights in jail, and then had cameras shoved in his face. Now, I personally cannot think of a scenario in which flipping 2 middle fingers is more appropriate there. Honestly, if he could have grown another hand in that moment, I would not have blamed him for throwing up a 3rd bird for good measure. But the facts that came out afterward didn't really matter, because by then, Mike up claims of a migrant crime wave. They've instead had to resort to anecdotes or exaggeration. For instance, the Republican National Committee made a website tracking alleged examples of migrant crime called BidenBloodbath.com. If you go to it, you'll find the names of 13 different states, which you can click on to find evidence of so-called migrant crime there. But for 4 of those states, when you click through, you'll find all they're able to cite is those states' overall rates of fentanyl deaths. And look, those deaths were tragic, but you cannot connect them to migrant crime, given that to the extent fentanyl has been seized at the border, 90% of the time it was seized during legal crossings, and 91% of those seizures were from US citizens. Which of course they were. If you want to move drugs across the border, you're going to do it with American citizens because they attract less attention from authorities. I'm not telling you how to move drugs. But if you are going to, that is the only smart way to do it. So I have just told you how to move drugs. And as for people crossing illegally, just 0.009% of people arrested by Border Patrol last year were found to possess any fentanyl whatsoever. So, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I don't know if BidenBloodbath.com is the reliable source of news and information that we all thought it was. And look, I am not saying that there haven't been individual migrants who committed crimes. Of course there have. Because migrants are people, and some people do bad things, in the same way some ABBA fans and some people with SpongeBob tattoos have committed crimes. And if it so happens that there is someone out there who is a migrant ABBA fan with multiple SpongeBob tattoos, the only thing they're likely to be guilty of is being an utterly fascinating human being. What is your story, dude? I have so many questions about what brought you to this point. The thing is, if you want to prevent crime and death, that's a great idea. And there are absolutely ways to do that. But when you draw a circle around a few members of a particular group, especially one identifiable by race or nationality, then generalize about what this means about all of them, no matter what you say, you're not having a reasoned debate about crime or safety. You're being racist. And the depressing thing is, all this fear-mongering has been effective. Over 70% of Republicans now believe there is a high risk of people illegally coming to the US and committing crime, something which, again, is demonstrably and provably false. As we know, immigrants aren't causing more crime in this country. If they're leading to more of anything, it's more good food and more people who cannot believe how mean we are to our moms. And what is doubly infuriating is that too many Democrats have been willing to go along with this false narrative. Biden has repeatedly been pressured into imposing stricter immigration restrictions, most recently in June, when he imposed sweeping new asylum restrictions for the US-Mexico border. Earlier this year, he actually pushed for an even tougher immigration bill, which Trump explicitly told Republicans not to support, arguing it would give the Democrats a political victory, suggesting none of this is about safety at all. It's entirely self-serve. And that absurd Times Square incident that supercharged this whole migrant crime panic nonsense ended up pushing some Democratic leaders into stupid public statements like this one from Governor Kathy Hochul, who had this to say about the migrants who'd been blamed.
Get them all and send them back. You don't touch our police officers. You don't touch anybody.
Yeah, it's true. You don't touch anyone in New York City, do you? Unless, it seems, someone calls your friend Ugly Betty, or you happen to be dressed as a Parisian tomato and hear someone speaking Spanish, in which case, all bets are off. And the thing is, even after so much of that Times Square story unraveled, some of the people caught up in it have continued to pay a significant price. Two of the people who were there, neither of whom were accused of touching the officers, were detained for months on Rikers Island, and one is still there. Look, for the last time, migrant crime is not on the rise. That is a fact. What is also a fact, though, is that people now feel that it is. And that feeling has the potential to cause massive harm. And all of this is making solving the genuine issues around immigration, like dealing with the massive backlog in our immigration courts and providing cities help in sheltering and supporting migrants awaiting asylum hearings, that much harder. So, what can we do? Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but we're currently 4 months out from an election. So just assume that the underlying what can we do for most of our US stories from now until then is going to be do not vote for Donald Trump. Again, that seems like that should be barely worth saying, like drink water or go to the dentist. But it does bear repeating because, be honest, when was the last time you drank water or indeed went to the dentist? Exactly. And look, I'm not saying by any means that Biden is perfect or even good when it comes to immigration.
Good Stone Scott
Or
Bot.
whoever winds up being the Democratic candidate, because who on earth knows anything about that right now, is going to be incontrovertibly better than the alternative. And I know this has been a bleak few weeks, and it's been incredibly depressing to see reports of anonymous Democrat leaders saying things like, we've all resigned ourselves to a second Trump presidency, because frankly, fuck that. There is just too much on the line here to give up like that. Trump and the bigots around him plan to use his victory to make immigrants' lives absolute hell, and he is not exactly hiding that.
They're sending their murderers to the United States of America. This is going to be very bad. And bad things are going to happen, and you're seeing it happen all
check
the
the
time.
wheels.
That's why, to keep our families safe, the Republican platform promises to launch the largest deportation operation in the history of our country.
Since we spun the wheel of
he's saying
excitement,
it
the
pretty much all
wheel
out
of
loud there to
mediocrity
enthusiastic cheers
isn't
from
going to
a
be
crowd,
available.
Some of whom have cheese on their heads. And he's not making that up either. That is the Republican Party's official position now. Their new platform calls for the largest deportation operation in American history. They even made official signs for people to wave, reading mass deportation now. And even if the courts slow that attempt down, which is by no means a guarantee, Project 2025 offers them lots of other bureaucratic ways to hurt immigrants, from terminating the legal status of 500,000 dreamers by eliminating staff time to review and process their renewal applications, to barring US citizens from qualifying for federal housing subsidies if they live with anyone who is not a US citizen or legal permanent resident. Those plans are outrageous, and if Trump wins, they could be public policy. And Democratic leaders cannot sit back and resign themselves to that. There are so many things that we as Americans do have to resign ourselves to. Airline cancellations, a national anthem with too many high notes, Glenn Powell inevitably starring in a Field of Dreams remake. We can't fight those things, but we can and must fight this. And at the end of this week, it should be clear to absolutely everyone, it doesn't matter if Trump and his party say they have a new tone or nominally call for unity or throw a cute dog on stage for some reason. They have told us who they are. They've told us what they want. They literally put it on a sign and waved it in everyone's face. They are trying to win this election by pointing a finger at immigrants, and the only appropriate response is to take a cue from the so-called symbol of the Biden presidency and say, fuck that shit. And now, this.
And now, a few more highlights from the Republican National Convention.
You didn't really expect that, did you?
We were at Mar-a-Lago, and someone came up to him and said,
All right. It's at this point, I'm going to have to call it. My funds are low. Like, I can check to see if maybe one of the Fairyland quests reset. Let's start by too expensive. Right? It's 2,000. It would be 3,000. It's not necessarily worth it. Palm fan. This one would be worth it. It actually is gonna let me? Oh, awesome. Okay. Let's get one of the job coupons. Inventory. Safety deposit box. Okay. 9128. Four. Five. And the quest was for 5, I think. Explore. Fairyland. Fairy City. Fairyland Employment Agency. Status. Complete the job. Whoa. Okay. So the purple job coupon would drop to a red one, right? No, it would drop to a gold. Okay. The Rocksource stake we already determined isn't worth it. Usaki Gym Goddess. $6,000. Roughly. Okay. Apply for this job. Take enough jobs, come back tomorrow. Okay, so it's literally on a rotating 24-hour clock. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I need to leave a buffer. You know what, this would be easier. Let's actually... see if there's... These all retail at over $1 million. Okay. Let's just do... The one I really want is 10 mil. I need to edit my shop description if that's the... Okay. Right. Update shop. Right. It's worth a shot. Let's see what their lowest priced. You know what? I know this price is low, so let's just go ahead and... see if anyone is selling cheap. Nobody is selling cheap at the moment. Okay. New search. I need to hold off on selling my red code stones because I will need those at some point. Jeez, all the Ixie morphing potions are like 450,000. Okay. If green Ixie, a common Ixie potion, is that expensive. I know this is a relatively cheap paintbrush. 25,000, 24,000, 23,000. Okay, this is astoundingly cheap in comparison. Someone selling it for 2,000? Is there 200? Bet. Snag. Right. Let's see if anyone is selling any Nerk mids cheap. Just to be on the safe side. Not allowed to search for Nerk mids in the super shop. Got it. It's an eraser. It's a stencil. No wonder they say nerking is a bad habit. Probably only the multimillionaire players can afford to nerk. That's sad. Okay. Right. Okay, those are all selling at about right at estimated retail price. All of these are selling at lower than price. So I just need to buy up the stock to bring cost up. Do not buy any that are priced at $9.99. Three. Four. Five. Six. Seven. And I guess one at cost. Actually, you know what? 2 at cost. And I have not touched the daily quests. So let's do it. Purchase 2 items from any Neopian shop. Right, let's actually... I've never seen this one in the shop. I hope it stays. But just in case... 5,000. Okay. Let's see if Marigal, because I already have one. New search. Identical to. I already have one. Okay. Weapon shop's out. Okay. See if the Wheel of Excitement's reset. Not yet. Okay. Is Jador's Bluff reset? Not yet. It's once every 12 hours for that. Okay. Explore. Let's actually go to the Neopian Bazaar. Let's see what Angel Puss is selling for. It should be a common pet. $5.95. Okay, it's actually selling pretty well. And since this is a Neopian shop, I can haggle. Okay, got one of those. Plushie shop. Disco Akara. That sounds like something a collector would go after. Let's see what the plushie's selling at. Low. Speckled Grundo. That is actually selling pretty well at above price. Let's try to haggle our way down. Oh. Took the offer right away. Okay, that takes care of the buying 2 items. Claim reward. Feed a pet, groom a pet. I fed them all before starting the stream, so... Bloated, 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 bloated. Very full, okay. I can feed you... Oh, I don't have any food in the inventory. So Roberta rocks. Remember that. Right. Safety deposit box. Let us withdraw chocolate ice cream. And I do not have any grooming items right there, so we're going to have to search. least in the safety deposit box, nothing can be stolen. Brush. Find. One. Okay. Let's feed and groom Roberta Rocks. Now, inventory, put the brush back. Safety deposit box. Okay. Claim reward. Claim reward. Alright, let's check to see if the Wheel of Excitement is reset in the last minute. It probably hasn't, but it's worth a shot. Nope. Okay. Let's try Hussy Bounce. It's got one of the best returns on effort. And it requires just a slight amount of hand-eye coordination, which is better than I can say for most of the games. Oh, don't tell me the site went down. The site went down again. Nope. No, it didn't. Okay. Well, if that isn't going to work, let's try Ice Cream Machine. Huh. AAA's Revenge. Yay, this one might actually play. Okay, this one's got a pretty decent return as well. It's not great, but it's decent. Locks up at 93? What the fuck? Is this just not my day? I helped the Snow Fairy too much. And the universe is punishing me for it. There we go. Restart. It's also one of the more difficult games. earned 80 Neo points. Submit score. And now the soup kitchen's having trouble loading. So, yeah, now the site's down. Jesus. Mm-hmm. There we go. What's sold for that much? My shop. Oh, yay, free. Free shit. Sales history. The Amulet of Life. That tracks. Shop till. Claim reward. Check to see if the wheel is ready to spin. Because if it is, we can do both wheels. Nope. Okay. Time to restock the shop. Time to restock the shop. Inventory. Quick stock. Store the job coupon for a rainy day. Stock the Hark Hoodstone and the potions. Order by cost. The Hara Codestone. Copy. Right. Our code stones are roughly 8,950. Let's use the Super Shop Wizard though. Angel Bliss is selling for about 600. Speckled Grundo plushie selling for 1,500. Let's do and then the weak bottled Dark Fairy. Selling for 50. Let's sell for 49. Put us right at the top of those search results. Bam. 1, 8, 32. Okay. Shop is restocked. Now that I've restocked the shop, now everything's having trouble loading again. A lot of traffic. Maybe people were expecting the new chapter to drop today, but it was scheduled to drop tomorrow. Maybe that's what's going on. Or maybe it's because it's the weekend. There might be too many players online at the moment. Alright. There we go. Let's check the wheel. The wheel is ready to spin. Yeah, that's not good. Well, I'm already in Fairyland. Might as well ask for some healing. Yeah, that'll do, I guess. Alright. Let's project ourselves. Not to Croc Island. To Tyrania. That's a little better. More than made up for the bad luck we had. Okay. Okay. Ooh, wait, what if I'm misunderstanding this? Let's check. No, I've already done today's fairy quest. that wouldn't be worth it. Would this still be worth it if it were available? Yeah. It's gonna let me. Maybe it's you can only do one job every 10 minutes. Maybe that's what's going on here. Okay. Just to be on the safe side. It's gonna let me do it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Status. Completed. Okay. Basic silver. Just double checking. Basic silver and then red. Just humor me. Huh. Look at that. Keep that in mind. Let's keep moving. Actual silver coupon job? $5,000. Nope. Okay. Let's check again in a few minutes. In the meantime, let's go auction hunting. The 2 doubloon coin, just to make sure I'm not getting ripped off. That's about right. I've already got a baby Tuscanini plushie. New search. He's asking way too much. Rollatron. He should be more expensive than that, shouldn't he? $300. No. Okay. I had it backwards. Interesting. Yo. People bidding up them code stones. Jesus fucking Christ. Isn't this item like 50? Less than that. Yellow beginner's bandana. Surely. Surely an item you only get one of. And while Buzzer over here is way overpriced. If I'm right. $800? Yep. It's only showing me the top 32 auctions. My beds. Yay, I got the 2 doubloon coin. Awesome. All auctions. Alright, let's look at the trading post. Browse lots. Newest 20. $10,000. You got a lot of golden walkie shields and golden walkie blades. Browse lots. Yeah, I don't have very good battle gear, so that's probably going to be the best battle gear I can afford. It's not that great. Best offer. need the main shop wizard for this since it's a paintbrush. 7,400. 7,198. 7,000. 6,000. 5,450. 5,450 and... Alright. Safety deposit box. Let's... Magic item. Double check to make sure I'm not accidentally giving away something I could sell for a lot. Flask of liquid light. Perfect. No selected items. Five, 4, 5, 0. Make an offer. Right. Browse lots. Newest 20. Complete aquarium koi set with matching koi morphing potion and free bonus aquatic gift. All for 11,500 Neo points. Quick question. How does that hold up? It's 1,000. Still at 1,000. 1,500. 6,500. $7,000, $8,000, $9,500. That is a steal. Make an offer. Give him an extra 100 Neo points and a potion just for the added bonus. Browse lots. Junk items, croc. Yeah, I might as well, if I make an offer, it'll tie up the money. I'm not gonna do that. Reserved. Okay. Whole bunch of cheap morphing potions. Speaking of... oh, right. How much is the Pirate Aisha? Now that I'm thinking about it, I need to look, and I might need to buy one. Sells for... yeah, probably not a good idea to buy one. Red Poogle Morphing Potion. Let's look at that. All selling relatively at the same price. Okay. Rainbow Loop Morphing Potion not for sale. they just listed these to gloat, didn't they? But I don't really want a rainbow loop, though. What does an island loop look like? Not too shabby. Fuck it. Probably should do this first. Submit. Alright, which one of you... You look like a fish. Looks like a fish. Alright. No. There we go. Literally nothing is sold. So... I have literally run myself out of Neopoints until tomorrow. I will not be streaming tomorrow night. I don't think. I mean, I might be. but I offered everything I had to a random person from Hong Kong. And if he accepts, I should be rolling in the dough, and I'll have an island loop. Okay. But if he doesn't accept, I offered a weak item with the Neo points. That way it wouldn't hurt my stock. Let's check the dailies. One more time. There's so many minutes. I already did the deadly dice. Healing springs once every 30 minutes. Haven't been there in a bit. Up to 10 items per day from the money tree. Or the secondhand shop, or the rubbish dump. Okay. This is once every 7 hours, meaning I've still got 4 hours to wait. will go through and reprice all this tomorrow. In the meantime, let's see if there's literally anybody available for a raid. I will take literally anyone that I'm already following. Orga Mink is playing Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. Let's tune in, shall we?